All right, so we're now at the last lesson or regular lesson before the review for Unit 4. We're going to have more negative exponents, and we got a little hint of this yesterday in the lesson, but we're going to have more negative exponents in the problems today. All right, so we're going to remind ourselves about how negative exponents work. So it says rewrite the powers as an equivalent expression with positive exponents. So what equals that, right? So what do negative exponents do? They flip things over, right? So that goes down there and becomes y cubed. The x to the negative 7th flips up there and becomes x to the 7th. And that will be true, okay? For all values of x and y. So now, what about this one? All right, so we've learned there are two ways to write that. You could write that as 1 over x cubed more. I think most students end up writing this, all right? Either way, for all values of x, those are equal to x to the negative 3rd power. With this, the coefficient does not flip down to the bottom, right? And so the answer is 5 over x cubed. Number 4, right, the negative exponent, wherever it is, flips and becomes positive. So it's that, but we're going to write it at that as x squared. Same thing here. The coefficient 7 stays on the bottom, right? And then x to the negative 1 goes up top, and that's x over 7, right? Coefficients, right? And anything without a negative exponent is going to stay where it is. All right, so, right, x to the negative 2nd over x to the negative 3rd flips over and becomes x cubed over x squared. Then you cancel these, and you get x. Here, x to the negative 3rd flips up to the top, right? And now we have multiplying across. So we have 2x, which is x to the 1st, times x cubed is 2x to the 4th. All right, so we're still the same rule. Rules are rules in math. It says when you multiply powers, you add the exponents. So we're doing negative 2 plus 5, which is x cubed. Now, why does that work? Now, if you didn't know that that was true, you could figure it out, right? Because this thing, right, is the same as putting it in the denominator, right? And then you could cancel it. You could totally have figured it out that way as well. But typically when you multiply powers, you add the exponents. Both ways will work. Same thing here, all right? X to the negative 5th times x cubed is x to the negative 2nd. All right, but you're not allowed to leave it that way. It says express your answer only with positives. So what's the proper way to write that? 1 over x squared. Okay, now let's see this the other way, right? You could write x cubed stays where it is, x to the 5th goes to the bottom. Those cancel out. And since you have to put the answer as positive exponents, really the bottom one is faster, but most people do tend to do the top one. All right, so you add the exponents. Negative 4 plus negative 1 is y to the negative 5th, but you're not allowed to leave it that way. There's this rule that we express our answers with positive exponents. So it's 1 over y to the 5th. And again, same thing. Those both go down to the bottom, right? So they're both 1 over y to the 5th. So there's more than one way to get there today. It's up to you. Okay, now there's coefficients. So 8 times 1 is 8. Y to the 9th times y to the negative 6. Whoops, I almost made that negative 8. All right, let's write this out. 9 plus negative 6 equals 8y cubed. 9 times 2 is 18. X to the 4th times x to the negative 7th, x to the negative 3rd. It says express your answer with positive exponents. So the 18 stays and the x to the negative 3rd goes down there. Or you could have done it this way. Everything that doesn't have a negative exponent stays where it is. The thing with the negative exponent goes to the bottom, flips. And you get this. You get the exact same answer, right? In two different paths. Right, we haven't had one of these question mark questions in a while. So negative 3 plus blank equals negative 7. What could go in there? Well, the question mark has to be negative 4, right? Because negative 3 plus negative 4 is negative 7. Now, same thing here, by the way. That funky font is because there was a typo in the printout. You may see that. And so blank plus -1 equals 3. So what has to go in that blank? And it's not 2, because 2 plus -1 would be 1. So let's try 4. Yeah, the question mark has to be 4. 2/5 to the 4th power times 2/5 to the -1st power equals 2/5 to the 3rd power, because 4 plus -1 is 3. Right. As I've always said, write these out, and then you're not one of the people messing them up. Right? When we multiply powers, we add the exponents. Once again, we have to express them as positives, so it's 1 over x to the 6th. Write it out, 9y to the -1st times 9y to the -1st, right? 9 times 9 is 81. Y to the -1st times y to the -1st, y to the -2nd. That's a negative exponent, so we got to get rid of it, and it flips over there. Right, we're going to start mixing things up here. Right, so this says rewrite the power as an equivalent expression with positive exponents. So, right, we flip this over here and we flip that there. They're equivalent, right? This one, right, it doesn't say simplify it, so I'm leaving it there. If it said simplify it, you would keep going, right, and get 1 over x squared. That's not what it says. Okay, so now, this one, the x to the 4th stays, the x squared goes up there, right? That's the problem you're doing. Right, same thing here. This would become y, y to the 4th stays, y squared goes down there. Same thing here. So we have x cubed stays, x to the -2nd goes up there, right? Y to the 5th stays, y to the -1st goes down here, all right? So let's answer these now, all right? So this one would be 1 over x squared, right, because of canceling. This one would be add the exponents, x to the 6th. This would be 1 over y to the 6th. And this one would be x to the 5th over y to the 6th. All right, we have, again, those coefficients, they get simplified. That's all they do. They don't ever flip. So 2, x to the 4th stays. X to the -2nd goes up there and becomes x squared. So the answer is 2x to the 6th, right? Add the exponents. 10 stays, the x to the 8th stays, x squared comes down here though. And you get 1 over 10x to the 10th. Alright, so 5 stays, 7 stays, x cubed stays. But now y squared comes down here. X to the -1st goes up there. Y to the 5th stays, right? That stays where it is, just like that and that. All stay where they are. So now let's do some work. 5 times x cubed times x is 5x to the 4th. 7 times y squared times y to the 5th, 7y to the 7th. Now you have the same thing top and bottom in the fraction, so you should know the answer, but let's just rewrite this. Right? You would flip, these 8's are staying where they are, not that it matters, right? And these all cancel, and you get what? You get 1 times x to the 0, x to the 0, or 1, right? You have the same thing top and bottom in the fraction, you're going to get 1 whole, as long as the denominator is not 0. All right, whiteboards. So we're used to that. And so we're going to do our practice, do all of these before I put up the answers. -5 stays where it is. Y to the 4th stays where it is. Y to the 7th flips. Oh no, whoops, I almost flipped the positive exponent thing. cubed comes down here. The y to the 4th goes up there. Yeah, this is y to the 5th over x to the 5th. The coefficients just get simplified. So we have a 2, we have an x, and this comes down here and becomes x squared. So it's 2 over x cubed. So we'll just simplify that and make it 1 over 2. All right, so let's put a 2 there. All right, x to the negative 5th goes down here, right? That goes down there. And x to the negative 7th goes up there. Y to the negative 2nd comes down here. Now y just stays there. That stays, right? And so we have x to the 7th over, oh no, we have some canceling to do. So these cancel and there's 2 there. So x squared, and then we have 2 times y squared times y over 2y cubed.